Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today for our Modern Solutions webcast. We have an exciting hour planned for you guys. My name is Nate Hatala. I am one of our vendor cloud managers here at D&H. We also have Alan Valdivia joining us from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And lastly, we have Nick Points, Director of Sales at Chartech, that will be delivering the primary content. Take a look at the agenda a little bit for today. I'll be kind of delivering some housekeeping notes for the group. Then we'll have Alan on. Alan will be talking about GreenLake. I know it's an incredibly interesting topic that we keep hearing all over the place. So he'll be kind of giving a deep dive into what GreenLake has to offer for all of our customers, as well as HPE in general around how they can help with kind of op management for your data centers, and then security management workshop opportunity that they have coming up as well. Then lastly, we'll have Nick on to kind of give the main segment here. He's going to be talking about MSP sales and planning for 2023. And then finally, we'll have closing remarks and questions and answers. Just wanted to give a quick shout out here to all of our sponsors. It's really important. They make all this possible. Without them, we wouldn't be able to deliver all this content to you guys throughout the course of the year. So we really appreciate their support and their continued partnership to both help D&H grow as well as grow our partners. Lastly, if any of you have any questions about anything you see during the course of the webcast today, if there's anything at all that we can actually help you with, whether it's business related, how do I, solutions that you may need help architecting, things of that nature, feel free to give us a, check out our webpage at dnh.com/modernsolutions, or drop us a line at modernsolutions@dnh.com. That's the best way to kind of get in contact, and then we can kind of route any questions or requests for resources from there to the correct parties for you guys. Without further ado, I want to introduce Alan, and he's going to share a little bit with us about HPE GreenLake. Alan, take it away.
Thanks, Nate. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today. Today's topic is going to show you how you could accelerate innovation with HPE GreenLake. For those of you who have heard this term before, you know that this is our consumption model, and you can get the best of both worlds since you're going to get the private cloud experience and also the public cloud. Next slide. I could spend a lot of time talking about all of the benefits that this consumption model could bring to your business, but I decided to focus on some of the most important business goals that you could align to this business model. If you look at these three pillars, you'll realize that some of these goals, it's what you have on your mind on a daily basis. All of us are looking for revenue growth, cost management, and operational efficiency. And these are some of the things that you will be able to achieve through HPE GreenLake. You'll be able to develop and launch new offerings. You'll get increased speed into market. You'll be able to reduce total cost of ownership since you will be avoiding over-provisioning, and you'll be able to use cash more effectively and optimize cash flow. You will also be able to scale operational management resources, increase agility, and then again, these are just some of the benefits that you're going to get through HPE GreenLake. The best way to explain what GreenLake can do for you, this slide has a lot of different boxes. The best analogy to understand this one, it's like having your cell phone. When you take your cell phone, you turn it on, the first thing you see on your home screen, it's a variety of apps. Something similar happens with HPE GreenLake Cloud Platform. This orange box that you see in there, that's going to be your home screen. And then all of these boxes with analytics, machine learning, workload orchestration, data management, networking, compute, and storage, those are some of the flavors that you could get through GreenLake. We don't have a lot of time to spend on this section today, so I'm going to focus on the compute portion of GreenLake. As the work gets more hybrid, compute won't look the same. You'll be familiar with the first column that you see on your left. In the past, everything around compute used to be really centralized. It was really complex to manage. And now with everything that is changing with these as-a-service solutions, in the present, compute workloads will be distributed across the enterprise. you'll be able to get a simple cloud management tool. And that's what I want to tell you about, because HP GreenLake, it's offering a new management tool, which is called HP GreenLake for Compute Ops Management. This will help you simplify, unify, and automate everything around compute management. Something great about it is that it's really simple because you get a cloud native application and it's really consistent across all of the boxes that I mentioned before. It is always up to date. You don't need to worry about any manual stuff because it all happens in the background. And again, talking about as a service, this is all subscription based. If you're looking to spend less time managing servers, Compute Ops Manager, it's the answer for you because you're going to be able to update hundreds of servers with bulk actions. You'll be able to easily organize devices with groups, tags, and labels, and you'll be able to focus on key tasks. Also, if your teams are looking to deal with downtime, because we all want to spend time on what matters the most, you won't have to worry about resolving issues because Compute Ops Manager, it's going to be monitoring everything and self-healing. You're going to be getting automated software updates to simplify operations and efficiency. And best of all, you'll be able to easily integrate best-in-class software, scale instantly and massively across the edge to cloud. All of these solutions, in case you're wondering, or in case you were familiar with GreenLake, you do not need a GreenLake contract. And also, if you're thinking, I'm not ready to adopt a consumption model, or I'm not on a consumption journey yet, this whole tool that I'm showing you today, it's a great way to experience our GreenLake Cloud platform and start feeling comfortable with it. Again, we have a lot of information around GreenLake in Compute Ops Manager. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If you're interested on how to make the most out of it, I invite you to attend one of our upcoming server and security management workshops, which are going to be taking place on March 30th, April 27th, May 16th. I'll make sure to paste the link right here in the chat. These are some of the course contents that you'll be getting. And I believe you can also download this flyer on the files that we uploaded. But then again, this is a great chance to learn more about how you can manage all of your servers through HPE GreenLake Compute Ops Management. That's it on my side, and now we'll pass it on to you, Nick.
All right, hey, Alan, good stuff. And man, thank you everybody for joining today. It's still morning for me out here in California, so I'm going to go ahead and say good morning. And wow, what a great audience! 200 plus registered. So that leads me to believe that I think for some of us sitting on here, we probably still need to put together our sales plan for this year. So let's get started. Guys, again, please feel free to connect with me. My name is Nick Points. I am the VP of Chartech, which is a national training organization for managed service providers, for VARs that are looking to get into managed services, copier companies that are moving into managed services. Pretty much everyone's moving into managed services, wanting to own the client network. So we work with a large variety. I am also the vice president of our own MSP, Arc Technology. So like many of you guys on here right now, I'm wearing a lot of different hats. So if you guys have any questions as it relates to marketing, sales, operations, as an MSP, please feel free to reach out to me. Let's connect. You can reach me at nick@chartech.net or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Nick Points. There's my link there as well. So let's get started here, guys. First thing, let's take a second, and I want you guys to think back to December 31st, 2022. I want you to think about your plan, your sales goals that you set for your MSP, for your company last year. And then I want you to think about which one of these camps you're falling into, okay? We have the ones that, hey, we had hockey stick growth, We had our numbers, we blew them out of the water, right? We had more problems with project backlog and onboarding new clients than we know what to do with. Some of us may be right where we thought we were. You know, we set our plan out, we set our revenue goals, and we maintained. We hit exactly what we needed to do, right? We added clients, maybe we lost a couple clients, but we maintained that. And for others on here, maybe we fell short of our goals. We didn't hit the revenues that we expected. Maybe we aimed a little high. Maybe we missed the mark on some areas. But in any of these cases, this year, we're going to need to start challenging ourselves again, even if we're in the hockey stick growth, right? What are we going to do this year to maintain that level of excellence, right? If we're just kind of status quo, what are we going to do differently to get us above that line, right? To add some recurring revenue. And if we're behind, then again, unless we want to continue to stay behind to it, what are we going to do differently this year as far as our planning and execution to hit those goals as a managed service provider? So there's a couple things I'm going to break down here, guys. Really, I boil it down to 5 steps into creating a sales plan that's geared for results. So before we really get into this, and before you start taking what you're going to learn here today and applying it at your businesses back home, there's a couple prerequisites I want to make sure everyone's thinking about and that we have in place. First and foremost, we have to have a defined offering. What is it that we sell, right? What is it that we do for our clients that keep their businesses up and running with the use of technology? Before you can market, before you can sell, before you can support efficiently, we've got to get that offering defined, and we have to have it standardized. It just makes everything else we're going to talk about so much easier. So with that, I mean, D&H is a phenomenal partner, guys. Reach out to Nate and the team, all the different components of a managed services offering. I'm more than happy to break that down. And, you know, if you guys need more conversation around that later, but for our purposes, that's a prerequisite, man. You have to have that defined offering. The other part, you need to have a defined sales process. I'm going to hit on it a little bit today, but we got to make sure we have a defined, repeatable process in place to take us from a prospective client all the way through getting a deal signed and then handing it off to the projects team. And in order to do that, and again, I'm going to hit a little bit today, we need to have a compensation plan for our sales team, right? We're putting a sales plan together. We need to have a compensation plan that incentivizes the behavior that we want more of as an MSP, which we're all on here and we're wanting to do recurring revenue. Let's just go ahead and say it's MRR, right? That's what we're all here for. So if you have questions on that, any of these prerequisites, you know, please, again, reach out to me, nick@chartech.net. I'm more than happy to spend time with each and every one of you guys individually for your organizations and see how we can help get these in place for you. So number one, as we're thinking about our plan for this year, and I hope most people on here already have something at least that they're thinking about. I mean, we're nearing end of quarter one, right? I mean, so what is our plan? Are we thinking about for this year? Now, for many of us, I want to challenge yourselves. How many of you guys right now just have it in your head? Right? We have some goals, we have some ideas, but a huge problem we have as business leaders, as leaders in the organization, and just managed service providers in general, and is we have our goals and we keep them just up here. There's a couple problems with this. One, if it's in your head, it's an idea. It's not a goal. It's not actionable, right? People aren't mind readers. Okay? Your teams aren't going to know what the goals are. What are we trying to accomplish? How are we going to get everybody on the same page if we don't get these goals, you know, out of our heads and onto paper, into action plans? And again, people aren't mind readers. I promise you this. You guys don't believe me? Ask my wife. I find that out all the time. And think about also as owners and the leaders in the organization, if it's just in your head, who's holding you accountable? Who is holding you accountable to the goals, right? The objectives of the organization. And it's very easy just to be like, you know, let me go ahead and move the mark. Let me move the target. So one thing, we got to hold ourselves accountable. And the first thing, we have to develop our goals. We have to get them out of our heads and in actionable plans. Okay, that's the only way we're gonna grow, we're gonna scale, we're gonna hold people accountable, and we're all gonna be on the same page. The next part, when we're developing our goals for this year, I like to take a look at what did we do last year. It's a starting point. It may be the best year in business we've ever had. It may be the worst the year in business we've had from a revenue standpoint. It may just been on par. It does not matter. I want to look at what did we do last year. And when I'm talking about looking at the overall numbers, a huge problem is that we just put goals in place especially for sales. I want to add blah, 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 X amount of revenue. And we don't really understand how we're going to accomplish it, or what do we need to do to accomplish the activities to hit these goals. So as an example, last year, I want you to think about how many prospecting calls or emails did we make? Did you, and maybe you're running the sales team, maybe you're doing the sales, or you have salespeople in place. It doesn't matter. I want you to look at these numbers and how many prospecting calls and emails did we make? How many outbound attempts at the top of the funnel did we contact people trying to get them into the rest of the sales process? From there, you're going to want to look at, from the prospecting efforts, what did that yield for us? How many interactions did we actually have? How many times did people jump on a call with us? Did they call in? Did they download a resource? Did they come to the website? Did they do a contact form? Whatever it may be, that first interaction, how many of those did we create from people that are excited and curious and they just said, tell me more? From there, we need to look at how many of those do we actually hold first appointments with, that we set knee to knee. Maybe we did them on a virtual, maybe it was a Teams meeting, but how many of those first interactions did you convert into an actual appointment? From there, again, we're working the process here. How many of those discoveries did we perform? If we had a first appointment, sit knee to knee, how many of those actually turned into legitimate business discoveries, where you as the sales professional are having business conversations with that organization, and then you can bring your engineer in and they're running the technical discovery. So how many of those did we hold? From that, how many times did we actually get up to bat? Meaning we completed the discovery, how many of those actually turned into sales presentations? From there, the big question, right? How many closes did we have? How many new clients did we bring on? How many new logos did we bring on into the fold? What was the average deal size? What was our recurring revenue? And some of you, oh man, I don't really have all these numbers. That's okay right now. I mean, it's not okay long term. We need to start tracking these and using the systems that we probably have in place. But you need to have a starting point. And some of it's going to be a swag if you don't have the data, but at least we have to put something in place and we have to start measuring for it. Because once we understand these, we're going to need to start setting our goals for this year. So, and when I'm going through these numbers, guys, don't get hung up on them. Each and every one of you are probably going to be a little bit different. So just as an example, let's say if our goal this year is we want to increase monthly recurring revenue, then let's set that goal. How much revenue do we want to bring in? And let's just say as an example, our goal is we want to do a net add of 50,000 in monthly recurring revenue over the course of 2023. It's a very measurable goal, right? It's defined, it is out there. So from that point now, the challenge is, what does that really look like? What is it going to take to get us there? Look at your average deal size. And again, 2,000 is across the nation. Some places are much higher, some are less. Don't get hung up on the numbers. I want you to think about your average managed services deal. What recurring revenue is that bringing into your organization? For our example, let's just say it's $2,000 a month. Now we're going to start doing some crazy math here. Okay, so I hope you guys all have PhDs in mathematics. So we take our desired goal, right, our outcome for the year, 50,000 in MRR. I'm going to go ahead and divide it by the average deal size we have, and it's going to give me the number of deals I need to bring in. Right? Just blew your minds there. It's not hard math, guys, but we have to really start thinking about it, because here's the challenge. We need to say if my average deal is 2,000 a month, I want to get 50,000 in recurring revenue, then I need to have 25 deals. That means every month at minimum, I need to land 2 deals. 1 month, I need to get 3 to get to the revenue numbers that we need. Now, obviously, if you sell higher deals and you can bring on lesser ones, it'll net out, but let's just say we're following the averages here. So with that in mind, if I know I need a minimum get 2 new deals, 2 new clients per month, we got to start working backwards in our funnel. And again, maybe you guys don't have all the numbers here, but we, one, work towards that goal. And then the other part of it, we have to start somewhere. We can't just put a goal in place and be like, yeah, let's go hit it. And you're going to find that, maybe we get lucky, maybe we do land a couple clients, maybe we do hit that mark, but most often it's not going to be consistent, and we're not going to get to those desired goals, and we're not going to do it repeatedly, I promise you. So let's start, and let's really start working backwards so we can put some strategy to this. And I know if I want to get 2 deals every month, and if, let's just say I have a 50% close rate, okay, 50% close rate's not great, okay, at all, but let's just say for easy math, for if I have a 50% close rate, or my sales rep has a 50% close rate, or my reps have an average of 50% close rate, that means that you or each one of your reps has to present 4 times. So once a week in order to hit our revenue goals. So in order to present 4 times, we need to look at how many discoveries do we need to perform. Let's just see if we have an 80% conversion from discovery to sales presentation. That means you need to be performing 5. You need to be performing 5 business discoveries every month to get 4 presentations to get 2 deals signed. Keep working backwards. If I have a 50% conversion rate, so that means if I'm going to take my process, I'm going to go, I need to have a minimum 10 first appointments to get my 5 discoveries, to get my 4 presentations, to get my 2 deals. And again, don't get hung up on the conversion rates, okay? Everyone's going to be different, but you need to start understanding these so you can work backwards on these numbers. And again, if I had a 50% conversion from a first interaction, meaning someone saying, yep, tell me more, I'm interested to learn about X, Y, Z, and we get 50% of those into the first appointments, that means I need to be having 20 of those conversations a month. So what is that, 5 a week? 1 a day. I should be having 1 conversation a day to get to the 10 appointments, 5 discoveries, 4 presentations, 2 1 deals. And then we got this whole variable up top. We got our marketing message, right? The question mark that is out in the ether. How many prospects, right? How many suspects, however you're gonna classify this, do we have floating above our funnel with companies that we know exist, contacts within those companies that we're constantly marketing to? Now, if we have a 10% conversion rate, which would be pretty dang good, from a marketing message, we're sending out our blasts, we're doing events, we have digital content going, it's LinkedIn, social, whatever your campaigns you're running. If I had a 10% conversion, that means at minimum, I need to be marketing to 200 companies at any given time to yield the number of first impressions I need to get me to my appointments, my discoveries, my sales presentations, to get me to my 1 opportunities at the end of the month. Once you have the game plan, right, you have an idea of what you need to do to accomplish those numbers, you can look at it. And if I don't get any better at our close rates, if we don't get any more efficient in converting the sales stages, then if I want to get 4 deals per month, that means I need to double the amount of companies I'm marketing to. I need to be marketing to 400 companies to get 4 managed services deals. And again, that's assuming you don't get any better at your close rates or your percentages in the funnel stages. Now, each rep's probably going to be a little bit different. Some are going to be better at closing deals. Some are going to be better at closing on discoveries. So you need to look at this for your teams as well. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. So we need to look at these numbers now. And we have to ask ourselves, is this doable? Do we need to make any changes? How many opportunities do I have in my pipeline? How many companies are we marketing to? If I need to market to 200 and I have 50, how do I get that extra 150 companies to start marketing to, or contacts to get in that database? Because don't assume that I only have 50, but I want this desired outcome, this amount of closed deals per month, but I don't have enough in the top of the funnel. That's a huge mistake I see companies and business leaders make time and time and time again. We don't set the realistic goals with what we have to work with. So if I need more opportunities in the top of my funnel, I don't know, do we buy a list? Do we organically create one off of Zoom info, or maybe we're on Sales Navigator and LinkedIn? Maybe it's a little bit of both, but what is that pipeline and how do we get to that desired number of contacts to match our close rates to get to the end result that we're looking for? Maybe we need to look at new verticals. Ask yourselves, man, do I need to add new verticals that we should be targeting, or maybe I do specific campaigns that maybe we don't have a saturation in this vertical market yet, or maybe it's a new up and coming vertical, like alternative energy is big here in California. Solar companies are popping up like weeds, and it's phenomenal opportunity for us as MSPs. They're high growth, high revenue, and they don't know what they're doing as far as technology and keeping their arms around it. So it's a great opportunity potentially for some of us. Maybe it's medical, maybe it's dental, maybe it's finance, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Do we need to add new verticals to get to that desired number of companies, contacts that we need to be marketing to hit our revenue goals? Some of it too, do not discount our existing clients. If we're adding 4,000 in new MRR a month, I don't care if it comes from net new clients or if it comes from my current clients, right? Our goal is to add increases. So we can look at our current client list, and maybe I would recommend breaking out your services and then do just a little graph, do a little checkbox, and just say, hey, what services do each one of my clients have every single one of our services? You know, even the ones I brought on 2 years ago when I didn't have certain services available, those are the ones we can go back to. It's called addendums, right? We're doing our business reviews. We're looking at, again, helping their companies grow and better use technology. So a way to do that is look at our current clients right now. What do they have? What can we possibly be doing better for them as their service provider? And we may have some low-hanging fruit there that we can use to help with that quota relief to hit to those revenue goals. And again, if you guys have questions, please put them in there. I know I'm flying pretty quicker, but put them into the chat, and we'll do our best to get through them before we end here. Now, here's another challenge that we have as MSPs, as service providers. We need to understand, can we support the goals that we're putting in place? Don't put a number out there and then be surprised when our salesperson hits it. And then now we're having to say, hey, whoa, stop. I didn't think you were actually going to bring in 2 deals per month. I can't support that. We can't onboard them fast enough. So be realistic. And doesn't mean that we can maybe support it today, but we need to start forecasting and understanding if we are hitting our goals as we should be, right, from a sales standpoint. This month, you know, in the quarter 1, we're hitting our goals. Well, that means in quarter 2 or quarter 3 or maybe quarter 4, we need to make some new hires. I need to get some more people on the projects team. I need to get some more technicians. I need to start recruiting level 1s, getting them trained up, because we're going to be consistently adding new clients to support. Don't make the mistake of assuming or putting a number out that you don't think is attainable for your salesperson and then being surprised when they hit the numbers. Because I promise you, they follow the Chartech sales process, they will be blowing their numbers out of the water, and your biggest problem will be keeping up. I have done this many times, right? So it's a problem that we need to be thinking about. It's a good problem to have, but we need to be thinking about it, because there's nothing worse than bringing in new clients and losing them from lack of support or inefficiencies or project failures, things along those lines. So can we support it? That's from an operations standpoint. Now let's think about, from a sales standpoint, what do we need to do, if anything, to change our team? Do we need to make some hires? And again, this is forecasting. This is budgeting based on accomplishments, based on setting out the goals, right, month by month, quarter by quarter, of what we need to accomplish. So as an example, someone's got to lead this team, and for many of you, may be the owner, right? And you may be wearing, again, 10 different hats. One of those hats is a sales manager. That's fine. But we need to know we have to have somebody managing our people. If you're an owner doing the sales, find someone to hold you accountable. Again, get in a peer group, get a coach to hold you accountable as a salesperson, because that's what you are when you're wearing that hat, right? To those desired results. Now, a typical makeup, and again, as we're growing and scaling, you don't start with this type of sales organization, but it's, again, something to think towards. Typically, at least in my organization, my best salespeople cannot spell IT. And I don't want them to. I want them to be able to understand business issues, the implications of those issues, and how to get people in an organization to open up and share. That's what I train them on. That's what they're going to be very, very good at. So I have a sales engineer. that comes out and that runs the technical assessment, helps do the solution engineering for my sales professional, helps do the networking diagrams, making sure we got the right solution in place, and then my guys go out and close the business. So again, maybe that's the same person, just know what hat you're wearing, right? Talking tech and doing the technical assessment is totally different than the actual sales business discovery. So you may have to make that hire. And then you have a closer, you have a hunter. Most of the time, you will have a person you bring on, your first rep as an example, or maybe it is you right now. You're going to be wearing two hats. You're going to be farming, managing current clients that maybe you brought on, as well as looking for new ones. And that's, again, very, very typical. But you're going to hit a certain point where one of those roles is not seeing the success that you want. Either we're not retaining our clients, we're not hitting those client addendums, or we're not getting those new client logos, because there's only so much bandwidth that a person's going to have. So at that point, it's an easy question to ask. What role do you want? Do you want to hunt? Do you want to farm? And then we backfill that other role. And then maybe you guys have a product manager as well, just R&D. I would recommend leveraging your resources you already have with D&H, right, with the products, and they can kind of be that product manager for you to help consult and what's the latest and greatest and what are other people using, etc. Then you can have account management team. These are going to be typically your farmers. Again, we're wearing probably multiple hats, but as we're growing and we're hitting our goals, maybe we need to hire some dedicated account managers. Maybe they're client success advocates. We call them CSAs, but people that stay in front of our clients, keep them happy. So the only time that we're not reaching out to our clients is when they're pissed off, right? When there's a support issue, but we're actually in front of them having those business reviews that we promised them what we're going to have, but yet, we fall short, right? Best intentions fall flat. This is probably the first hire I would suggest after you get your sales professional, right? You as a leader doing the management, you get your first hunter, account manager, sales admin. They're like that glue, man. They help with the organization in the sales department, putting together the agreements, proofreading proposals. They can double check the pricing, help with quotes, with addendums. They can help facilitate, schedule appointments, book calls. It's a needed, we leverage DISC. And it's personality assessments. It's a needed, very important role in the sales organization, and it's augmenting typically what like a hunter, what the personality traits they don't have, right? So we got to backfill that organization, the consistency. Typically a hunter's that's not who they are. So anyway, you got to look at what we need to do. Do we need to hire once we hit those goals, and as we are hitting those goals month after month after month after month? Once we get them defined, we get them developed, we have to provide clear expectations to the teams, to everybody that's going to be involved and have a part in making these goals a reality. All too often do we don't set our goals, but let's just say we do set these goals. We get them down, we get them in a plan, we get them in a year sales plan, but we don't properly set the expectations. Or maybe we talk to the sales team, right? We have to understand what is it that needs to get done. What are we going to accomplish? We have to make sure it's documented. Everybody who has a hand in this process needs to understand what are we trying to accomplish. Very easy one for sales and looking at revenue is just, that's exactly what it is. It's like we look at our goals, we look at the quotas that we have in place. I always track, what do we do the year before? What is our current forecast? How are we doing to those numbers? Because what's our actual? Very, very easy, and obviously you get more granular with it in your dashboards and as you're using other metrics, but as a high level, document our plan from a revenue standpoint of what we're looking to accomplish by the end of the year and what we need to do every month to do that, and then, hey, where are we? If we fall short this month, it doesn't mean, oh, shucks, golly darn, we missed it for this month. It means I now have, 10 and a half months left in the year to make up this deficit. How are we going to do that? So next month, it's not 2 deals, maybe it's 3 deals. Or I need to find clients maybe a little bit larger. I need to get that recurring revenue, that agreement value higher because I am at a deficit. It's not oh, shucks, we missed it, better luck next time. It's we need to switch that plan, and we need to focus on how we're going to do to make up those numbers, because not hitting it is not an option, right? That's the mindset from the sales team. So once we have it documented, we need to have a process in place to how are we going to do this. Having goals without putting process behind it and strategy is worthless. And then we're just going to be, hopefully we're getting lucky, closing our eyes and just, hey. So this is our process, guys. There's nothing fancy about it whatsoever. Our sales process is made up of closes that have to happen and processes in between the closes. So first close we have to make is that marketing message, right? We're marketing to those X amount of companies that we need to market to. Once somebody says, hey, I'm interested, tell me more, they show up to an event, they come to your booth, maybe you're at a show, maybe they come to a mixer, they come to a lunch and learn, they go to, download a form from your website, doesn't matter. Once that happens, that's your first win. That's the first close that has to happen. So you high five your marketing team, you tell them, great job, thank you so much. Some of you high five yourselves, right, as we're doing the marketing and the selling. But again, we got to keep our minds, what is our focus? So that marketing message, we get that win, we have that first interaction. The only thing that we need to be concerned about and work on for training is how do we close the first appointment? So we can sit knee to knee with a position of authority at a prospective client to get them, establish some credibility, further qualify this opportunity to make sure it's worth everybody's time to move forward in the process, and get them to say, yes, I'm okay with you and your engineer or your tech team to come into my company, talk to my people, and look at all of our systems. It's not as easy as it used to be. So what is that strategy, right? We need to work on that because that's the only close we have to make. We're not talking about revenue numbers or giving them budget pricing, none of that. The only objective we have as a sales professional at this phase is to close on that discovery. And we do some research, obviously, we have strategy behind that. You show up, we perform the discovery. Before we leave, before you as the sales professional leave, you have a close to make. It's getting a date and time to present the findings with the authority to buy, meaning understanding how this decision will be made and making sure those people are in the room. If they're silent partners, if there's partners within the organization, if the owner's going to meet with the management team, maybe there's a board of directors, you need to find out because that's the next close that has to be made. Then we come back and then we do the work. We prepare the presentations, we get our proposals, our agreements ready to go, we're practicing it, we're role playing it with the team, practicing those objections that we know we're going to get. And then we show up for presentation day, we present. Then there's one of three outcomes. One, I want the deal signed, agreement. That's obviously the obvious one. If I can't secure that, we're getting a follow-up appointment, date and time. None of this, they're going to think about it and get back to you. No. You either get the agreement signed, we're going to get the first month in advance, right? The check for the first month in advance and the one-time equal to set up an onboarding fee. I'm securing that. Or I'm going to get a date and time to show up to get my check, right? To get my agreement signed. That's the mentality we need to be in. If I can't secure either one of those, I want to get a no. I want you guys to let that sink in for a second. Give me a no. The problem is, in the sales world, people tell us, hey, I want to think about it, I'll get back to you, and we're trained to follow up. And at this point in time, once we present, keep in mind the curiosity's gone. Curiosity is the only thing that's going to keep this process moving from the marketing message to the asking them for the business. So once they have the information they need, the curiosity is gone. That's why they don't call you back. That's why they don't return your emails. They don't respond to you. They don't return your voicemails. And then we start following up, because that's what we're trained to do. And what you're going to find is the majority of your sales time is now following up with deals who aren't going to buy. The reason they are not responding to you is they made a decision. They're not moving forward with you, but they like you. They don't want to break your little heart. So they just think stringing you along for the next 6 to 8 months is better than just saying, hey, we went a different direction. We're not making a decision. So get that no. And no doesn't mean no forever. No means maybe no right now. It's a learning opportunity. Where did we fail on the sales side? It's training. But more importantly, we get them back into the marketing drip because I promise you, they will be back. No, again, no doesn't mean no forever. It just means no right now. Take it as a learning opportunity. But we have to secure that. Don't be okay with just leaving things up in the air. So again, high level sales process. This is how we're going to accomplish the goals. And there's training, and I get it from every one of these steps and processes and techniques. But you have to have this in place. And you can constantly improve on it, but you have to have a process in place so it's repeatable. We can get repeatable results. Everybody knows also in the organization who has a hand in the process, what their role is, what are they supposed to accomplish, and how do they get that done? Everyone needs to be on the same page if we're going to be successful here. Now, really quick, I'm going to touch on this because Unfortunately, this happens all the time. We don't align the compensation for the sales reps for what the organization, for what we want more of. As an example, if we want more recurring revenue, that's where we need to place the carrot. So often, and again, salespeople aren't stupid. They know where their money's going to be made. They know how the comp plan is structured, and they will work it to their advantage. So if they make more money on selling projects, that's what they're going to do. They're going to sell more project work. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'll come back for the monthly. No, because that doesn't happen, right? We sell a project, and then the business owner's like, why do I need to sign up for a monthly maintenance when I just spent 100 grand on a brand new network? I'll call you when something breaks. But it's not the salesperson's fault. If the compensation's aligned, or let me say unaligned with what the organization wants, if we want recurring revenue, but we base it on products, on product sales, on one-time purchases, project labor, that's what they're going to sell. So take a look at your comp plans and make sure that carrot is very distinctly aligned with what we want more of, because they're always going to be thinking, what's in it for me? That's the sales rep. That's the mentality, man. Selfish. We're here to do a job. We want to be in charge of our own destiny as far as our earning potential, or else we would not be in sales. So align it. Let's dangle that carrot where we want them to go, where we want the company to go. So as an example, guys, and I have comp plans. More than happy to share. Don't get hung up on the examples. And I have quotas for labor, for hardware. They're just not nearly focused on the revenue opportunity that is as agreements. So as an example, what I pay with my MSP and the other sales professionals that we manage for other MSPs across the nation, I heavily weight it. So I'll take an agreement quota for new MRR. Let's just say in this example, it's 4,500. I base it off percent of quota sold. So we have to set a quota in place. That's how we're going to pay. I keep it very simple. I pay you on a percent of quota sold. If you hit, in this case, in this example, $1,125 in MRR, that's 25% of quota. I will pay you 25% of that 1,125. If you hit 2,250, which is 50% of quota, I will pay you 50% of that 2,250, which is your commission check would be 1,125 for that bucket. And I pay up to 125%, meaning in this example, anything $5,625 in MRR, that particular month booked and over, I will pay that sales rep 125% of that total monthly value. And I don't care if their quota is 4,500, I don't care if they land one deal at 4,500 a month, if they land two deals at $2,250 per month. Honestly, I don't care if they land 4,500 $1 a month agreements. Just get me to that number. This number can also be made up if they're doing account management on addendums, on monthly increases. They take a client from 2,000 a month to 3,000 a month based on our TBR adding new services. That additional 1,000 net gain, I will add towards this quota relief for that month. But again, I'm heavily weighting their compensation on new agreements because that's what I want more of. And to that tune, I pay on annuity revenue. Again, further incentivizing them to book more recurring revenue. So as in this example, I have some tiers. Once they get to 8,000, I'll start paying them 1%. Once they get to 152,000 in MRR and above after a few years, then that'll be 3%. So again, don't get hung up on the numbers. You guys would can take the numbers and tweak them to what makes sense for your organization, for your quotas and your percentage payouts. But I do this because, again, I want to put a heavy emphasis on their earning potential as it relates to new agreements. And here, I know some of you are thinking like, oh my gosh, this is what if they're going to build a good block of business, and at 3% of 152 grand, that's a sizable commission check every single month for past sales. The last thing we want to do though is keep our salespeople complacent. So I'm going to show you how we secure that. Now again, here's something for labor. It's a fixed tier based on where they land. If their quota is 6,500, if they have 1,300 to 3,800, it's 8%, and I go to 14. It's very fixed. Same thing with hardware and software. Profit. This is all on profit, guys, for labor and for hardware. But it's a fixed tier based on where they land in their quota structure. So, but more importantly, and here's an example. And again, I'm flying fast on this, guys. It's a lot of information. 4,500 new agreements at 100%. That's 100% of quota. 4,500. There's your labor. There's your hardware. As you can see, it's 100% quota average. I have 3 quotas in place: new agreements, labor, and hardware. They're weighted differently, as far as the payout, but the quota average is 100%. So in this example, they would hit 6,980. Now, the majority of that, as you can see, is made up in recurring revenue. Vast majority of it. And let's just say in this example, they're at 52,000 in MRR, which would put them in a 2.5% tier. That would give them an extra $1,300 a month, right? If they're hitting their number. So again, you guys are probably thinking, holy cow, that's a great living. If they continue to, for their annuity revenues alone. But I'm not here to sell insurance. I'm not building a block of business and getting complacent. So how do we protect our investment and still keep our people hungry? So I tie annuity revenue to quota attainment every month. So as an example, let's just say we're at 52,000 still in MRR. That's their booked business. That's the bank that they've had for, however many years or months it took them to get to this number. So they still have that. They're in the 2.5% tier. But there's their quotas. Let's say they did 80% and 83% new agreements. They did 75 this month in labor, and they did 70% in hardware. That gives a blended quota average. Take those 3 buckets, you divide by 3. Your blended quota average is 76.2%. They're still in that 2.5% payout tier, but now they're only getting 76.2% of their total annuity revenue possible. So instead of 1,300, now they get 990. And it goes the same way. If my rep doesn't sell anything this month, even though they still have 52,000 in the bank from past sales, past performance, I pay them 0%. Their blended quota average is 0. They didn't sell anything. So they get 0% of the 2.5% possible, which is 0. Very simple, very straightforward. It incentivizes what we want more of, but it keeps our people hungry. Okay? It keeps our reps hungry and not complacent. So again, I flew pretty high on this, guys. There's gonna be a lot of questions. Don't get hung up on the numbers. Just stay with me on the concept of aligning compensation for what we want more of to hit the goals that we're setting out as part of our sales plan. Okay. There you go. Membership at charttech.net. I'll provide you a compensation plan, structure, calculator, as well as a offer letter, like a training roadmap for a sales professional. It's my gift to you. Just email membership charttech.net, and you can tweak it, make it your own. Okay, in providing clear expectations, we tend to forget that there's other hands in, spokes in this wheel, if you will, that make that help us achieve the results that we want from a sales standpoint. The first one is marketing. We have to have marketing alignment with sales. Each hand should know what the other one's doing. So often, sales and marketing can be like the Hatfields and McCoys. Kind of like, I don't know, sales and service, right? And then sales and finance. I guess sales is kind of always in the mix, right? But let's specifically think about for sales and marketing and sales and marketing alignment. I want a marketing calendar. What are we going to be doing? What is our marketing campaigns every month, every quarter? What is that messaging? What does it look like? What are we sending out every week? If we have weekly newsletters, if we have weekly campaigns, what is that content? What is the call to action? There's nothing worse than if you get a call and you answer it and you have a prospect asking you questions about a promotion or a campaign or content that you don't know anything about. It's super frustrating. And also, this gives sales a chance to talk to marketing if we're aligning for content, because we should be aligned. Sales is in the trenches. We're bringing on clients. We're in there talking to them, understanding their business problems and their issues and how we're helping to align the technology that solves them. So why wouldn't marketing and sales want to be aligned? And marketing asking sales, hey, the last 5 clients we brought on, why did they buy from us? What problems did we solve for their business? Because I want to come up with a campaign or content or strategy around that. And it needs to, again, be planned out. There shouldn't be any surprises. Your marketing team should be forecasting and putting a plan in place for at least a quarter ahead, a quarter at a time. What are we going to be accomplishing? What are we going to be doing? What are the results? and the marketing has quotas too. What are the desired outcomes? We want to add new people to the top of the funnel. That means I want to gain registrations. I want to gain form fills. I want to put people in the database that I didn't know existed. So what are the lead magnets we're going to be using this quarter and next quarter to help accomplish that? How many appointments are we booking based on the marketing efforts that we're putting in? Because again, we need to have measurable results. If our goal from marketing is to have 200 companies to market to at any given time, new people, right? Then that's part of marketing. Figure it out. Where are we going to get the names, right? And we have to align that. And then again, we have a calendar in place. At the very minimum, focus a quarter at a time. And some of you, we're catching up, we're fighting fires. I get it. But if we don't start thinking about this as a business and a process, and aligning the departments that have to be successful. And again, maybe you're doing sales and marketing, but you still need to have a plan. So when I hire that next salesperson, or when I hire somebody that's going to help me with marketing, what are they going to need to be doing, and how are they going to get that done? If you don't have a plan in place, it's going to be a nightmare. Like if you don't have a sales process in place and you want your salesperson that you hire, this FNG who doesn't know anything about your company or probably the industry, to create their own sales process, you might as well just have them create their own comp plan. You wouldn't do that. So let's make sure that we have that plan in place, aligning sales and marketing. So what are we going to accomplish, and how do we work together to make sure that we're constantly in alignment? Once we have these plans documented, we're providing in order to provide clear expectations. And again, everyone's going to be a little bit different, but I make sure I do it face-to-face. So I have a sales kickoff. I call it a revenue kickoff, whatever you guys want to do, but I have a meeting that I dedicate typically for a day and a half, and I will be bringing in all the parties that have to have a hand in the success of hitting our objectives from a sales standpoint. So as an example, I do a kickoff. First things first, I go over the goals and objectives, right? Very clear. What did we do last year? What were our wins? What were our failures? Where's our opportunity for this year? And then I roll out the new plan. What we're going to do, what we're going to accomplish as a team, and then the rest of the kickoff is training and education about how we're going to do that. I'll bring in my service team. I bring in my marketing team. I bring in the marketing director, and I have them talking about the leads, the campaigns, the strategy that we're going to be looking for that are aligned with sales objectives. So again, we're on the same page all the way through service and delivery. I have our projects team leaders coming in and talking about the good, the bad, the ugly from projects. What do we need to be looking for? Maybe things that we're missing in the sales process. Again, I want to make sure that we're all aligned. I typically do like a team building. For lunch, I'll bring in lunch. I'll have the sales and marketing team typically together. I want us to kind of bond, right? I want us to, start building relationships internally, because again, each one of us has a part to play in the overall success of this plan in the organization. I'll do like a team building, usually for sales, I'll do something competitive. Everything I've done from go-kart racing to paintball, laser tag, anything that we can have a competition, we can make side bets, bragging rights. But again, it's just a great opportunity to get out of the office, start building those relationships for the rest of the team. Then day two, I go back into training, man. I call it like boot camp. Every year I go back through and I do workshops, everything from taking the marketing campaigns that we're going to be rolling out this year, and we're creating scripts, we're creating conversation flows, voicemails, emails. I provide a lot, from a leadership to the team, but I have them making their own. We do a lot of practice, we do a lot of role play. I know people hate that, especially role playing cold calling, lukewarm calling, role play sales conversations. Because again, we have to practice. And then once you also, your numbers, that you reverse engineered your sales funnel, the deficiencies between the closes or the stages, right, that if we only have a 50% close rate, then I want to make sure that I'm looking at where am I most deficient in that sales process, and I'm focusing my training efforts on that, overcoming objections, seeking to understand, asking for the business, or how do we remove those objections, some of the objections that we're getting, or address them earlier in the process so it's a non-issue. All right, if I really am not good at discoveries and I don't have a lot of great information by the time I go to present, then this training needs to be heavily focused on discoveries, getting people to open up and share, understanding business issues, implications. So again, How am I communicating it to the team, making sure we're all on the same page, but providing them with the resources and tools and knowledge to accomplish those goals? And then obviously at the end of it, I roll out the comp plans and talk about how they're going to be making the money this year, right? What are our targets? So again, any questions on this, guys, please let me know. Be more than happy to share any of the agendas and things like that with you. The other part of it, I want to have buy-in from our teams. So the first part is we set the goals in place. I want to understand that our company goals, that's a minimum. Quotas are a minimum. That's like your permission to play. That's why you're in this organization. I'm not here to pay base salary, right? And then not pay commission. I want to pay commissions. And in fact, if I don't pay commissions, you're not going to be here very long. So, but I want to understand that, hey, these company goals that we put in place, that's our minimum. So how are we going to go above and beyond that? And then I also have everybody create their own plans for how are they going to exceed their goals that I'm putting in front of them. You know, individually, because again, each person may need different metrics, meaning I have one person that closes 90%. Okay. Well, the person that closes 50% is going to need to have more presentations than the person that can close 90%. So looking at their individual numbers and what do they have to accomplish, and we got to put that in, you know, their individual buy-ins. What metrics do they need to have? What activities do they need to perform to accomplish these goals? I used to give them to the teams, but it was always hit or miss. Like they weren't bought into it. So I just said, hey, you guys put your numbers together of what you need to do. Here's the numbers. How are you going to hit them? What do you need from the company? What do you need from leadership to make sure that you can hit those, right? And so one way to track this too is, again, I talk about activities. How many calls do you need to make, right? Based on your conversion rates from your prospecting calls to that first interaction, from interaction to appointment, appointment to discovery, discovery to presentation, presentation to that money dance. What do you need to do? And your activities need to be aligned to those goals. I have prospecting activities. I have my sales funnel stages. I have general farming activities if my rep is also doing some account management work. So we got to get those in place, and it's all measurable, right? Use your CRM, use your PSA. How are we tracking this? But the most important part, what I want to walk away with, is we need to have those goals, individual buy-in set in place. Once we have the buy-in, I have my teams create a vision board, and they present it to the sales team during the kickoff. But what are they going to do once they hit their revenue goals this year? Once they hit their quotas, what are they going to spend their money on? And for everybody is different. But they have these vision boards. They create them for their own selfish reasons, for why they want to be successful. And I put it on their desks. And so it's a reminder for them, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we making these extra calls today? Why am I not shutting down at 5 because I didn't get the number of appointments I needed to book today? So I'm not leaving until I get that appointment, because I'm looking at these goals and they're selfish to that each individual person. I know we're running on time here, so I'm gonna speed up, guys, a little bit here. We have weekly KPIs. So once we're getting that sense of ownership, right? Once they have the individual buy-in, it creates a sense of ownership. What's in it for them? I have them report to the team. We do a weekly sales meeting, all team, and they report their KPIs. If I had to have a certain amount of appointments, did I get them? Yes or no? If I didn't, how am I going to make up for it next month? What's a new strategy? Let's talk to the other team members who may have got it. What did they do differently? So it's a great collaboration. And then we have a quarterly overview, and this one's in front of the leadership team. And so again, talking about getting your people wanting to follow the process, wanting to be invested here, because I have them report to my leadership team every quarter, and they go stand in front of the boardroom, and they have to go over what did they set out to do as individuals, what were their goals, how did they do, and then what are we going to do next quarter? So it's just like us as leaders documenting our plan and sharing that information. It's accountability to your peers. So now they're accountable to the leadership team and the sales team of, like, this is what we're setting out to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is when I'm going to get it done by. So it adds another layer of that ownership, because now it's like, oh crap, man, I got up in front of the whole room here, and I told them I was going to average 25 calls a day because that was going to get me to my revenue numbers. So how did we do? What are we going to do different? And the last piece, as we're thinking about this, our plan, we need to be very much aligned that it's not a set it and forget it. Okay, so often, December, you put a plan together, maybe January, some of us, you wait till June. But we put a plan together and we don't look at it again for 12 months. And we dust it off and we're like, wow, how'd we do? Oh no, we missed that mark. Well, that would have been good if we hit that, but holy cow, man, maybe next year's gonna be different. It's not a set and forget it. We should be reviewing it at minimum quarterly. How are we doing? Are we on track? Are we ahead of schedule? If we're ahead of schedule, I was forecasting to hire new people in Q3. I need to bring that up now to Q2 and start placing ads now if I'm going to get them hired and actually, working and doing the activities that I need them to do by June. So it's strategy. We need to pivot as needed. If I'm behind, how do we get caught up? This may impact our marketing budget. This may impact our spending for Q3, Q4. We need to be aware of that and communicate the expectations. If we change the plan, we need to communicate what those changes are. It's kind of like a road trip. You get your family in the car, you're all bought in on the destination, you put it in the GPS, they give, Google Maps will give you, or Waze will give you the time, and then you're like, yeah, I got to beat that, right? And you take off on your trip, and then the next thing you know, at least for me, I hit LA traffic, and it's like, it's just now I need to reroute, right? I need to go downtown LA, past the homeless centers, and then I got to get back on another freeway or whatever it is to get to my end goal. But we need to be communicating along the way. It's okay to pivot, it's okay to change, and we should be if we're not hitting the metrics, right? We're not hitting the goals. So with that said, guys, we have some options. We covered a lot here in planning, but if you don't have a plan in place, you got to get one. It may not be perfect, but put some numbers out there, put some strategy behind it, and work towards accomplishing that. A couple options for you guys. We have, so our own MSP, we are opening up March 28th through 30th, so a couple weeks from now. Very limited seating. I'm at probably 80% capacity, but I have opportunity from D&H to give, if you're not a ChartTech member, you can get a guest pass. D&H is covering the guest pass for you. I have 10 seats. That is it. It's first come, first serve. If you want them, email nick@charttech.net. I will get you those. If you don't, you just want to regularly register, there's the link there. But we have a cybersecurity focus, and we are opening up our MSP, my actual MSP, for 2.5 days. You can send yourself. If you can't make it, send your right-hand person, send your teams out. What areas in the business are we struggling? Is it lead generation? Is it sales? Is it overall the marketing strategy? Is it support, service and delivery, business operations? We are unrestricted access to our multi-million-dollar, 30-plus-year-old MSP. We will show you everything that we are doing and how we are doing it. Then it's up to you to take it, tweak, and make it fit your own organization. But you'll be out here with 100 other MSPs, like-minded individuals. The bonding and the networking, the information that is shared is unparalleled in the industry. Again, if you want to come out, see what we're doing, it's different from somebody telling you what you should do versus actually opening up their own business and showing you. That's the opportunity you have right now. It is limited. And then we have advanced training labs as well. If you have reps that we're not hitting our sales goals, or maybe you as the owner, you want to really put some time and attention into sales. We have week-long courses. Our next one's up in May, and we only have 4 seats available for that one. So with that, Nate, I know I'm like we're hitting right on time here. So I don't know if we have any questions on the board or any final thoughts that you have.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nick, there were a couple, and I know we're already over time, so I'll limit it. But one of the ones that stuck out to me that I thought was really interesting is, from your personal experience, do you see any type of marketing vehicles produce better results than others? So for example, like email versus web versus in-person, et cetera?
Yes. The answer is, yeah, and it depends, and it varies, guys. It absolutely varies. I'm a proponent of, you have multiple irons, multiple sticks in the fire, man. You don't know what's going to run. So I have some months I'll have way better success in LinkedIn, as an example. Other months maybe I'll do a lunch and learn. Other months, maybe I'm at events. I'm doing chamber mixers. Maybe we sponsored an industry event. Digital content is huge. We do a lot of lead magnets. We give away resources. We give away to our end clients. They, download them. It brings an opportunity. Some months we'll put more money into Google, right? We'll do more pay-per-click. So it really depends. I don't say there's one silver bullet by any means. It depends on, again, what do you have to work with? Do you have marketing automation tools? So then you can do a lot more emails, right? Are you making the calls? For me, the biggest advantage we have that I feel as sales professionals is tracking and lead scoring. So in our marketing systems, we have all these vehicles that we're going out, multiple different campaigns, journeys, whatever you want to call them. And I don't want my salespeople just calling 200 people. Right? It's a waste of time. I want them, give me the 5 that are actually interested. Because if I'm calling 200, I just started A and I ended Z, those 5 that were interested, maybe they were down in the middle, I missed my opportunity. So that lead scoring part is huge to put the leads that we need to be putting time and attention to first at the top of the list. But how we gather them, Nate, it's all across the board.
Yeah, and I would say the answer to that probably is going to also vary from organization to organization, specifically around what region they're in, what type of verticals they play in.
Yes.
I would think that different interaction models work differently with different kind of target audiences, right? Certainly when we see a lot is being able to get in with certain professional communities, right? If there's a trade organization around a certain customer type, things of that nature, all would kind of play into that. And then just lastly here real quick, Nick, another one that stuck out to me real good, or strikingly, was that obviously right now finding qualified human capital can be a challenge at times, right? I know you allude to the fact that you don't necessarily need your salespeople to have a huge amount of IT experience. Where do you find the best results just recruiting just really solid salespeople?
That's a great question. And yeah, and again, my salespeople, I don't want them to have IT experience. I mean, is it a plus? Maybe. But I don't want them crawling under a desk and fixing things, right? I don't want them talking about technology because that's not how we sell opportunities. So for me, I'm looking for, do they have experience in sales, consistent experience? I don't want enterprise sales. I'm a small business. I sell to small businesses. I don't want somebody who had $20 million quotas, right? It's just, I have the challenges in there. So I want small business, and I want somebody in a perfect world that has selling intangible. Not selling widgets, but I want intangible services. I want service sales. Those are what I'm looking. Maintenance agreements, insurance. I want intangible product because that really aligns with the services that we offer. Most important part though is we leverage DISC. It's that personality assessment. I've got to get the right person on that seat in the bus. I can train process, and sales tactics all day long, but I can't train someone's DNA. If you're an introvert, I can't make you extrovert and want to be in social situations. So that's a huge component for us is the DISC. So if anyone's interested in that, shoot me a note and I can get you a couple assessments if you have a person you're on the fence about.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Nick. And something you just said there stuck out to me a lot. And the selling intangibles. I mean, really, what you're doing here is selling an experience to your customer. So yeah, anything from service contracts through hospitalities, events, things of that nature, all are areas where you're selling an outcome versus a physical product. So fantastic.
Exactly.
Well, Nick, I know we're a few minutes over, so I do apologize. I know there were other questions, but what I will say is if anyone would like to continue this conversation, certainly you can reach out to myself, Nick, or certainly email any of us at modernsolutions@dnh.com, and we can certainly connect you with the right people, whether it be Nick, myself, or others on the team here that can kind of advance the conversation and any of these other areas that you might be curious about. So that being said, thank you all for attending today. We appreciate it. Nick and Alan, thank you so much for this invaluable information. I hope it gets put to good use by our partners, and hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys.